Guys, do your homework. Or you forgot? Guys, do your homework.
Sheikh tried to do it.
Try to.
I haven't done it, Sheikh.
Did your electricity just come back?
Yes, Sheikh. Just about came back now.
Okay. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, today we'll be doing revision. Zakatul Ibil. We've completed Zakatul Ibil. There's 1-2 masail which they mention later on. So after you've taken cows as well as goats and sheep, then they mention 1-2 masail that may be exceptions to the rule. But for now, you've taken Zakatul Ibil completely. Sheikh Ibrahim, you've got a question, or did you do your homework?
I did the homework.
All right. Tell me, are you able to write on this board without me touching it?
I'm not sure. I don't think I can.
Try.
I'm on the. Let me try. No.
You're on what?
I'm on the phone.
Oh, you're on the phone. Okay, no problem. I'll write for you. Right. Bismillah. Start. Tell me your thresholds when it comes to Zakatul Ibil, and then we'll get to your homework. So start from 1. Let's write in English. We've been writing Arabic numbers before, just so it's clear for you guys. 1 to 4. If a person has 1 to 4 camels, conditions are fulfilled. How much zakat do they give?
None.
Wait, if you didn't do your homework, don't answer. Ibrahim, you did your homework? Anyone else did their homework? No one else.
I did.
Sheikh tried.
You did. Right, whoever did their homework must answer, okay? 1 to 4, Ibrahim.
No, none.
None. We'll put an X there. Next threshold, Omar Al-Madani.
One sheep.
Yeah, what's it from 5 to?
5 to 9.
5 to 9. Okay, I will write this one in Arabic, Shah, so you don't forget. Next one, Khaybar, since you want to try, have you been following? Or were you here when we took this? 10
What's
to?
the lesson? 1 to... maybe.
1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to?
2 sheep.
Yeah, 10 to how much? 14, 2 sheep.
Yeah.
Next, who else is here? Alam Gheer. Next one. 15
Sheikh 14 to 19. 3 Shia.
15.
15 to 19. 3 Shia.
3 sheep. Yeah. 3 Shia. Next. The next threshold. After we do this revision today, inshallah, you guys just have to carry on revising and studying. We won't go through this again unless I'm asking you questions. So you must have mastered it. We've been through it for the last about 2 weeks. Inshallah, you shouldn't forget now. Right, next, what's it? 20 to?
24.
So used to writing a 0 like that. 20 to 24, okay. How many?
4 Shia.
4 Shia, okay. Then we said, we draw a line here. And we say that this is one type of threshold where you're giving zakah in sheep. Can you see all these are sheep? Okay. Now, that I'm sure you guys all understood and you all know the zakah when it comes to that. All right, next threshold, Ibrahim. Let's write back in Arabic here on the right. 25 to?
25 to 34, right?
35.
Yeah, 25 to 35 is
yeah.
Bint Makhad.
Bint Makhad. Ahsant. Next threshold, Alam Gheer.
36 to 45. Bint Laboon.
Bint Laboon. Okay. 36 to 45. Khaybar next.
The rest I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. Who's here? Let's see. Asked you. Omar from India.
46 to 60. Hekka.
Hiqqa. Next. Naeem.
Sheikh is from 61 to 75. And it's Jaza'a.
Jadha with a dhal, not za.
Oh, Jaza'a.
Yeah, because no, jadha'a, not jaza'a. Jazza is to chop. That's why a butcher is called what? What's a butcher? Somebody who cuts meat.
Mujaza.
Jazzar. Jazzar. Hiqqa, you got jadha'a with a jim and a dhal. You see? And a ain and then a ta. Jadha'a. And we said this threshold here, you're only giving 1 camel. Okay. After that, next, let's go. Ibrahim.
Yes. After Jazar,
76 to
76 to 85.
no. Who can help him? Omar Al-Madani.
Which number?
76 to
76 to 90.
90.
If I go, it is two bint labun.
2 bint labun. Okay, we'll go through that in English just now. 76 to 90. Okay.
Yeah,
Bint labun.
I'm right. It is good.
76 to 90. What did you say?
2 bint labun.
Ahsant. Binta labun. Ahsant. Yes, you are right. Why shouldn't you be right? If you studied, you get it right. After we finish, remind me to go through this in English. Next threshold, Naeem.
It's 91 to 120.
Yeah, what do you have?
Hiqqatan.
Hiqqatan. Right. Then we said 120 is one of your reset figures, okay? So now do you guys understand why I didn't just take everything once? Otherwise you'd be confused. What's this? So now you've taken brick by brick, step by step. Next threshold, Ibrahim.
We were at
121 to
124.
Yeah.
Hiqqan.
Hiqqatan. Ha, qaf, ta, alif, noon. Why? Because we said here it's like, here is one of your reset values. So it's as though you're going to 0 and you're saying from 0 to 4 or 1 to 4, you don't pay any zakah. So you're not paying anything extra, no sheep here, but you've got this one from previous, from the previous threshold. So you're going to say here, hiqqatan, okay? Next one. Alam Gheer.
Sheikh is 125 to 129.
Yeah.
Hiqqatan, 1 shah.
Hiqqatan and 1 shah. Plus shah. And when you guys write it in your book, I think put it into English. You must send it to us. Make one nice table. Even if you have on your phone, if you're using Google Sheets, just put it into your spreadsheet. Keep it for your future use. You want to teach anybody, but remember this is the Hanafi madhab. And it's good reference. Next threshold, Omar from India. 132.
132, 134.
How much?
Hiqqatan is 2 sheep.
Okay. Plus 2 sheep. Next. 135.
135 to 139. Hiqqatan with Thalatha Shia.
Same, that's the same. We put 3 Shah, okay. And next, Ibrahim. 140
140 to 144 is for Shia
plus
plus Hekatan.
Qatan. Khaybar, remind us we said a sheep should be how old if you're giving a sheep?
6 months.
I know you guys are busy. I know you guys are at work, but wherever you're going, you got a free moment or anything. If you want to carry on learning fiqh, it's good you coming. Please come or go to any place where you find benefit. But if you want to carry on progressing, you have to go through revision or ask somebody for their notes. It might save you sitting and listening for 1 hour where you get somebody's 1 page or half a page of notes. And generally put emphasis, especially on the students who are younger and they have potential. So what you need to do is you need to go through these tables. You need to ask them, whoever understood, they can teach it to you, and then remember it. Okay, because this lesson is built on this lesson, which in turn is built on this, and you have to go to your foundation. If somebody is just going to come here and start, they're not going to understand what's behind. Next threshold.
So you asked a question about age.
Yeah, so what's the answer? Tell me.
Over 1 year.
1 year. And how old is Bint Makhad?
It's over 1 year, less than 2 years.
Bint Makhad. Bint Laboon?
Over 2 years.
2. And Bint Hiqqa?
3 years.
Jadha'a?
4 years.
Ahsant. Right here, what are we doing? 145 to 149. Hiqqatan and
Bint Makhad.
Bint Makhad. Okay. Bint Makhad. Right. At 150, we said everything resets. Do you remember? And now, from 150, for every 50, the rule will stay the same. So 150 to 200, 200 to 250, everything stays the same. So if you see here, the other madhahib, generally after 120, they all reset. Then they'll tell you for every so many you give this, and for every so many you give that, as you'll see later on. The Hanafi madhab goes a step further, up to here, and then up to here, and then they generally are stable after that. So you've got 150 to 154 Alam Ghir. How many?
3 hiqaq.
3 حقاق. Right, next. Ibrahim. 155.
155 to 159 is 3 Hekkan and 1
Okay,
Shah.
so look here. If you say, because I'm writing here, ha, qaf, there's a ta here. So it's like this. It's ha, and then qaf, and then ta, and then alif, and then noon, and this qaf here got a shadda. So if you're gonna say hiq, and then qan, you're missing this one here. Can you see? You're missing that ta. Hiqqa tan with a fatha. Can you see?
Okay, it doesn't show
see?
on the mobile Zoom.
Okay. Oh, you can't see that. Okay, you must get them to write for you, inshallah. Or remind
I'll
us.
send notes in the group later, Sheikh.
Ahsant. Well done. Right, so what we said here, 155 to 159, we said ثلاث حقاق plus
Shah.
Shah.
Plus Shah.
Ahsan. Next one, Naeem, 160 to 164.
Is it three Hekka plus 2
Yeah.
sheep?
2 sheep. Okay. Next threshold. 165 to 169. Alam Gheer?
3 hiqaq, 2 sheep. 3 sheep, sorry.
Three sheep. Omar from India, next one. 170.
170 to 174. 3
How many?
hiqaq plus 4 sheep.
3 hiqqah plus 4 sheep. Next, Omar al-Madani. 175 to
175 to 185.
Ahsant, well done.
I think two hikka.
175 to 185. Okay, you've got 3 hiqqah, right? So that will stay the same.
One bint, no, not labun, makhaz.
Why makhad? Yeah, makhad, you're right. Makhad. Next one, Umar, mashallah, you did your homework. 186 to
That's to 189. 3 hiqaq plus
why
1 bint
189?
labun.
Why 186 to 189? Why you only went up by 5?
Sorry.
Here, hold on. Here, when everything changed, here. Can you see? Bint Makhad, you added more than 10, it's 11, but 25 to 35. Then here you added another 10. You went up by 10 before you got to Bint Labun. Can you see? It's 10.
Yeah.
Here, the same thing. You went up 10, 175 to 185. So here also add 10, 186 to 190. How much?
1
5.
5.
How much?
3 hiqaq plus 1 bint labun.
3 hiqaq plus Bint Labun. Right. Last one that we took. 196 to 200. 4 hiqaq.
4.
Then we said, now this was your guys' homework. Then we said at every 50 you reset. So this is like your reset line. Now you come here, 200 to 204. Okay. Still, it's like you've just added 4 camels extra. So you're not paying an extra sheep. Okay. So you're still paying 4 hiqaq. Then 205 to 209. So just follow exactly this. This is the answer that's here from 150. From here going down, these are your answers, but instead of 3 you've got 4 hiqqa. So here's your answer. This instead of 3 it's 4. And then when you get to 250 to 300, exactly the same answer, but instead of 4 hiqqa you're going to go to 5 hiqqa. Can you understand? Somebody asked, please explain it in English. So let's go quickly. So if a person has camels with the intention of keeping them for milk and reproduction, and they graze from what Allah has provided, i.e. from nature, for half the year or more, then they have to pay zakah. If they have 1 to 4 camels, there's no zakah. 5 to 9, you pay 1 sheep. 10 to 14, you pay 2 sheep. 15 to 19, you pay 3 sheep. 20 to 24, 4 sheep. Then we said here you stop giving sheep. The minute you get to 25, you're now paying camels. 25 to 35, bint makhad, 1 year old, a camel, she camel, a female camel. Then you got 36 to 45, bint labun, 2 years old. 46 to 60, hiqqah, 3 years old. 60 to 75, jadha'a, 4 years old. And 76 to 90, binta labun, 2 of them. 91 to 120 is hiqqatan, 2 of them. And 121 to 124 is still hiqqatan. It says though you've added 4, and then you guys understand all after this. This is all 121 to 124, 125 to 129. So you're adding 5, 5, 5 until you get to bint labun and bint makhad bint labun, and then you add your hiqqah. Any questions with what we've taken so far? This is your kitab al-zakah, inshallah, complete. Any questions? You guys understood?
Sheikh, when we get from 236 to 244, then we pay 4 hiqaq and
When you get to how
1
much?
bint labun.
When you get to
When
how
we
much?
get 236 to 244, then we get we pay
236. So just come here, look here. You pay what?
4 hiqaq and 1 bint labun. But after that, like from 245 to 50, it becomes automatically 5 hiqaq. No?
Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct. And then from 250 to 254, that 4 you're not going to increase in any way. So you're going to remain at 5. And then the minute you get to 255 to 259, you're going to add a sheep. A lot of people, when they go, yeah, tell me.
So when they mean by producing milk, they mean like producing milk for the kids or producing milk for us to drink?
No, for you've got to, a lot of these masail, to understand, you've got to picture yourself in the olden days. So in the olden days, what did people survive off in terms of drinking? They had water and they had milk. That was what they kept their livestock for. There was no supermarket where you went and picked up your 2-liter milk and paid for it and went out. No. So there were some people who would keep the animals for milk, and in order for animals to have milk, you've got to keep them for reproduction so they can produce that milk. Hence, they reproduce also. Now, you understood. Now, there's those people who, no, they would keep, for example, one big male camel just to carry things from here to there, a big old female camel just to carry things from here to there, or they ran a camel taxi business, if you had to put it that way. 5 strong camels, not for milk and not for reproduction, all of them males. Here they won't pay zakah. That's why they try to differentiate between somebody, if you had to picture it in our terms, somebody who's holding wealth and wants this wealth to grow. Whereas, or as opposed to somebody who's holding the wealth and using it to attain other wealth. The wealth itself is not growing. By you hiring out your camel or somebody to take a ride from Mecca to Medina, your camel itself is not growing, but you're getting wealth. So on that wealth, you pay zakah if the conditions are fulfilled. Whereas if you keeping a camel to reproduce and to take milk from it, the camels themselves start to grow and multiply. So do you understand the reasoning behind why this person gives zakah? Because the wealth itself is growing, whereas that person doesn't, because it's not growing. His wealth, that specific category of wealth, i.e. camels, is not growing. He might be getting money, gold, silver, paper money. He'll pay zakah on that in a separate chapter, as we'll take.
Yeah, I
The
understand.
question,
Understood?
Sheikh, do we consider the cattle when they are increased by newborn? Do we consider the newborns who are less than 1 year old?
So that masala will come. You consider all the camels that are there in order for you to reach a threshold, but you don't take from them. That was what Umar radiallahu anhu said. He said, count the small camels with them, but don't take from them. So let's say you get a person who has 4 big camels, and then here they don't pay zakah, and then one of them gives birth to a small camel. So you'll count them as having 5 camels, and they'll pay 1 sheep in zakah. And they mentioned these are some of the masail that are mentioned, a few exceptions to the rule at times, or a mas'ala that may occur that may not go according to what you've learned. They mention these later on, and inshallah we'll get them. So we'll stop there, inshallah. As you can see, there's a few ways of taking fiqh. A lot of people, when they take, and I'm not saying it's wrong, no, it's also one way of learning. You read zakah of camels as well as goats, as well as cows, as well as the whole chapter of zakah in one sitting within the space of 20 minutes. What did you remember after that? You probably won't pick up another fiqh book. Well, a lot of people won't pick up a fiqh book or attend a lesson for the next so many years. So yes, it's good to go through books, it's good to read books, but more important is what did you keep from the book? Inshallah, I'm quite confident that you guys, as long as you carry on revising, anybody asks you zakah on camels, you would know. Then inshallah you take on other livestock, and you take on crops, and then you take on money, and then you move from zakah, you go to fasting. Somebody asks you, okay, I'm on insulin, do I fast? Is my fast counted, etc. Then you get to kitab al-salah, and you get to kitab al-tahara. And that way, it takes time to master this. But in that way, inshallah, you become a faqih and somebody who understands. And remember, right now, we're only taking one madhab. Inshallah, you take the other madhahib. And that's where you find the difference between people who are well grounded in fiqh and people who have an idea of fiqh, but they'll always say, okay, let me get back to you, let me go and check. So here, inshallah, you learn properly and you master. It takes a lot more time, but you won't regret it. It's a good few years you spend, but inshallah, you find those are your best years, bi'idhnillah. And whoever wants to read, at times you want to read ahead, find the book that we're taking from, find it in English, use the internet, read through. There's no harm. What you don't understand, come and ask. So inshallah, we'll stop there. Today is Wednesday. So Wednesday, we said we'll take Mustalah al-Hadith. So you guys can become accustomed to, you just get a taste of what the ulama are speaking about when they're talking about Sahih and Hasan and Da'if, etc. I want to stop that. Sorry, whiteboard. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the previous lesson, we took an introduction to what's called Mustalah al-Hadith. And we said here we looking at the actual ruwah or the rawis of the hadith, the chain of narrators. At times, the actual matan of the hadith, one narrator may narrate a hadith in a particular way. For example, if there's a figure in the hadith, example, when Jabir radiallahu anhu sold his camel to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you find some of the ruwah, people who narrate the hadith, they have different numbers. Did he sell it? Was the figure so much, or was it so much, or was it so much? So inshallah, you've got a big understanding of that. We took what's some of the conditions for al-hadith as-sahih, when people say a hadith is authentic or sahih. And you remember, if I told you that sahih is of two types, sahih or authentic. You've got lidhatihi, which means it itself is authentic, and lighayrihi, which we'll take. Lighayrihi means it itself. If you had to individually look at each hadith, you would find that they don't reach, they're not at this level here, but as a whole, they able to elevate themselves to a higher level. So I gave you the example of a team. If you find, for example, in a sports team, and you're talking about one individual player and you say he is brilliant, okay, that particular player is brilliant. However, at times you may have a team of 5 people and all 5 are average, but the way they're able to operate in the team itself as a whole, they considered brilliant. So if you can understand the difference, why I'm giving you that example is because we understand when it comes to those examples. So here, for example, if you had to say sahihun lidhatihi, it itself is correct, you could give it, I'm just going to give a number from my head. Let's say this is like 100% authentic, and just understand it also logically. Lighayrihi, let's say this one here is about 75, and they're all narrating the same hadith. So sometimes you find a hadith, for example, man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, whoever lies, whoever makes up a lie and claims that I said it, i.e. they narrate fake hadith, then he should take his place in the fire. Now, there were so many Sahaba who heard this hadith, and this is generally how it happens. You find as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, example, and then so many Sahaba hear from him. Okay, so these are all 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be 100, could be 1,000, could be 4, and then from them they all spread out, and this chain becomes bigger. and bigger and bigger. So at times you may find an authentic chain. What are some of the authentic chains in hadith? Anybody know? Omar from
Sanad.
India.
Sanad.
Give me an example of an authentic sanad, an authentic chain. Give you a clue. An Malik. Omar al-Madani. عندك علم?
Could I use actually to bring an authentic hadith? For example, if you see, if you don't see, the prophet, but you see the companion, you have to say that.
No, so I'm talking about a chain. So let me give you an example. There's some chains of narrators. When we're talking about a chain, this is what we're talking about. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, example, he is here, and then a sahabi, and then you got a tabi'i. Tabi'i is somebody who saw a sahabi, and then you could have another tabi'i, or you could have somebody who met this tabi'i. Right. If we can guarantee, firstly, and in fact, this is also revision for you guys. Remind me to get back to here. This is where I'm coming to, but you have to understand this. Okay. This, you've got person number 1, person number 2, person number 3, and person number 4. Okay. Let's put somebody who met the tabi'in. Okay. For a hadith to be sahih and authentic, we said you must have 5 conditions. Give me one condition. Omar from India.
Sheikh, this time we're talking about ilah, meaning if 10 sheikh recite some hadith, and if
No, give me in simple words, 2 or 3 words. Give me one condition for hadith to be sahih. We mentioned 5. How somebody says this hadith is sahih and this hadith is da'if, and they said, Sheikh Umar, you've been attending dars for a while, you took this lesson. Explain to me, why do you say this hadith in Bukhari is sahih? Why do you say this hadith in Daraqutni is da'if? And what made you say that? Explain to me. Explain to me.
Adal.
Adil is one of them, okay? So we said, let's go in order. Anybody know the order that I gave you in?
Yes, Sheikh. First is Sanad, second is
Sanad. What did we
Shaz.
say? Hold on. You said mattasala isnaduhu, right? The chain of narrators is connected. There's no break in the chain. So when number 2 is narrating, he's taking from number 1. When number 3 is narrating, he's narrating from number 2 because he heard from him and he's taking from number 1. Number 4 is narrating, he's narrating from number 3, and number 3 narrates that he heard it from number 2, and number 2 narrates that he heard it from number 1. Okay? The minute you have number 4 here, for example, you have a man who's living in the year 300 Hijri. Whoever's got noise, please mute your mic. If somebody's living here in 300 Hijri, all of a sudden he says, he jumps from here, he doesn't go through he doesn't go through the tabi'i, nor does he go to the sahabi. He goes straight to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and says, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told me, or I heard the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying. Here you've got a break in the chain. Who's Naeem? I'm putting you. Here you've got a break in the chain because number 4 did not meet number 1 in the first place. If this guy lived in 300 Hijri, how did he meet the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He couldn't have. It's impossible. So they say that one of the first condition that we took for your hadith to be authentic is this chain of narrators must be connected. How is it connected? Again, if you're going into more detail, you learn the rawi. You learn the narrator of this hadith. So this person, for example, and you say, example, if this is Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, you know that he was a sahabi, definitely took from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so there's a connection, and then you know, for example, that you've got Nafi', who was a student of Ibn Umar, and then you've got Malik, who was Imam Malik, who was a student of Nafi'. That you've read, you've gone through the biographies, you know they met. At times, what may happen, somebody may live in the same era, but they never ever meet. So, for example, if you are sitting in India and there's somebody in Brazil, and they say, yes, we We lived at the same time, but you may have never met. How do they know the people met? How do they know they didn't meet? How do they know how the hifth was, etc.? All that you find in the books of biographies where they're speaking about men. Kutub al-Rijal, you find in Sir Alam al-Nubala, al-Dhahabi speaks about them. Muhaddithun, they've got books like Tahdhib al-Tahdhib and Taqrib al-Tahdhib, and all that they're speaking about narrators of hadith, whether he was a Sahabi or Tabi or someone who came after the Tabi'een, and they then graded them. And I told you, at times scholars may differ when it comes to grading a person. Somebody may say that this person is very strong. Somebody may say, he's okay. Somebody may say he's weak. And because of that difference of opinion, you find this guy says the hadith is sahih, authentic, and this guy says, no, the guys are a little bit weak, so he'll take it less than sahih. And the other guy will say, no, completely, he's not good. And hence you find that difference of opinion. Naeem, you have a question?
No, Sheikh, it was an answer to a question earlier. Sorry.
Okay, so that's the first. We said hadith sahih is this chain of narrators must be connected. Mattasala isnaduhu. Then it says it mustn't be shadh, and there must be no illa. And he'll go on to mention in detail different types of shadh, different types of illa. But what we said, shadh, for our purposes, is if you've got people who are all of a good caliber in hifth and they're good Muslims, brilliant Muslims. However, you had these students, okay? You had a sheikh here and he had 10 students, okay? He had 10 students. Man, these are 10 students, okay? We've put 4. And 3 of them narrate a hadith a certain way. So for example, the hadith I tell you where a person gives sadaqah with his right hand so much so the left doesn't know what he spent. You find all these 3 guys, they narrate it that way. And then you find one guy comes, his hifth, he was known as being a good hafid, known as a good Muslim. And he narrates it the opposite way around. He says the left hand gives without the right hand knowing. You know that, here he's actually made a mistake. His hadith is shad. Why don't we say it's da'if? Because da'if are for people whose hifth or their adala was not that good. Their adala, the type of Muslims they were, right? We said for something, the hadith to be sahih, there must be no shudud and no, it shouldn't be ma'lul, no illa. We said generally illa can be found in the sanad. Then there's those illal which affect the hadith, and there's those illal which don't affect the hadith, and you get into detail. Then we said the 4th and 5th conditions is the men narrating these hadith, they should be adl and they should be tabit. Adl is where a person is upright, he's honest, he's known for his truthfulness, he's a good Muslim, known to stay away from major sins and things which are frowned upon, etc. And Dabit is a person who was known to have good hifth. He was brilliant when it came to memorizing or when it came to writing his hadith. So you might find at times people who are ubbad meaning very good when it comes to their worship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might find them in the masjid the whole time, etc. However, at times they hifth maybe at a lower level, so they may not be considered. And at times you might find a person with brilliant hifth, but they may have done certain things which take their adala down. So we mentioned those 5 conditions. Then I asked you, I said that if you've what are some of the authentic chains in hadith? They call them silsila dhahabiyya, for example. One of them is dhahabiyya, meaning golden. So golden chain in hadith. The minute you see this chain in a book of hadith, you know, hey, this is authentic. One of them is an Malik, an Nafi', an Ibn Umar, an Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So an Malik is Imam Malik. He's coming here. He's someone who saw one of the tabi'een. Nafi' is one of the tabi'een who was with Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, and he narrates from Ibn Umar and Ibn Umar from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's one of the golden chains in hadith, and there's others that are also there. Now getting back here, so we said there's certain hadith which they themselves lidhatihi, this hadith itself, you have to take it and look at it, it's perfect, it's fine. Now what happens at times is you find the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives a hadith, and one Sahabi takes this hadith, and then his students, for example, so let's say from here to here, make it the screen pinned, from here to here, example, we have no problem. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the Sahabi, and the Sahabi they may be 3 tabi'is who took from him, okay? 3 tabi'is who took from him. And we can agree that these tabi'is were maybe good people, but some of them, the hifth may have been not as brilliant. So they may not have been a star when it came to hifth, 100%. They may have been at about 80%, all of them. So when we look at this hadith, when we look at it from one chain, one way, example, if this the one hadith in a rating, we have a road, a way, a tariq, they call it, coming through here with a different pen. When you look at it through this one alone, okay, same hadith, this guy narrated, same hadith, this one narrated, same hadith, this one narrated. You look at every chain, you find that this one here, he wasn't brilliant when it came to his hifth. This one here, when it came to his adala, he was slightly low. And this one here, when it came to his hifth, for example, slightly weak. So here, if you had to look at them individually, you wouldn't say the sahih li dhati, it itself is sahih. But because there's so many of them, it's impossible for them to have lied, and they at generally a good standing. So all of them together make a hadith sahih, authentic, but li ghayrihi. Li ghayrihi means you looked at this one and then you looked at another one. It became sahih because of another one, or another 2, or another 3, or another 10, which helped it to increase its ranking on or in our ranking system of hadith. So did you understand? There's those which they themselves are authentic. You look at it alone. And there's those that need help from others. They need help from their other teammates or their other peers to say, you know what, let our hadith be considered as sahih. That's what I wanted to tell you in terms of revision. And also I wanted to get to you this point where you might find at times they say sahihun li dhatihi and sahihun li ghayrihi. Now, this brings us to today's lesson. That was all revision. Today's lesson, we're taking what's called al-hadithul hasan. Al-hasan, okay? Al-hasan. The scholars differ greatly as to the definition of hadith hasan. The fact that they've made a new category for it, we know it's definitely not exactly like sahih, okay? I'm going to give you what the author mentioned, the book we're taking, Al-Bayquniyah, and what Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentions. Very simple. He says that Al-Hadith al-Hasan, all of the conditions of Sahih are met, except when it comes to one. So when you look at the sanad, the chain of narrators, you find it's connected. And when you have to look at the hadith, you find that it's not shadh, nor does it have an illah in it. And when you have to look at the people narrating these hadith, you would find that in terms of their Islam, they were good Muslims. There was nothing which somebody ever found against them. For example, they were not considered liars, or they were not considered to be bad Muslims. However, the difference between them, Al-Hasan, and those in Sahih, is these people were slightly weaker when it came to hifth. So they say a person, all the conditions are fulfilled, but when it came to his hifth, his memorization, or the way he kept his book in hadith, he was not your A-star student. He was, for example, an A or a B, like that. What happens if somebody is going to C and D and E? We'll get to that, inshallah, tomorrow. Now, when you understood here, sahihun li dhatihi, you find that it's at the highest level. Then some scholars mention sahihun li ghayrihi is actually many ahadith which are hasan. So today we took hasan. So you've got many ahadith. All the conditions are fulfilled. However, it's just these narrators, when it came to the hifth, they were slightly weaker. They were not your 100 out of 100, okay? They were not 100% or A+ students. So if you had to look at them individually, you would find that they're not sahih. It's not, they're still strong, but they don't reach this level. But if you had to look at them as a whole, you would find that this hadith goes up to sahihun, but li ghayrihi. An example I give you is if you have to have one pencil. If you had this one pencil alone and you broke it like this, very easy to break. But if you had many pencils together and you try to break them, it's hard. That's why sometimes you find a person may say, this hadith is da'if, but it has a shahid. Shahid means there's somebody else who's narrated from a different way, either by meaning or mutabi' with the exact same lafz or saying the actual exact same words. And inshallah, you'll go into detail when it comes to that. This is an introduction. After you take Bayquniya, inshallah, you can move on, or we move on to Ibn Hajar's Nukhbatul Fikr. And after that, you've got maybe Ikhtisar Ulum al-Hadith. And inshallah, you'll understand all these rulings. Khaybar, any questions?
So Hassan hadith can become Sahih if you have a group of them.
Not
The different type of
always.
Sahih.
Yeah, not always. And some people may differ. So example, let's say, if you're saying that the narrator here, and this first one, you're saying, no, he's weak. And I'm saying, no, he is actually okay. We already differing here, hence you're not going to say this hadith is sahih. You're saying, no, this guy is weak, or he's a liar, etc. Again, because this science is so deep and it requires so much knowledge when it comes to the names, different rijal, knowing them in and out, etc. You find what tends to happen is, most of us today, I would say 99.9% of the ummah, we all do taqleed when it comes to your hadith. So generally people are taking from Ibn Hajar's classification of the men, and he took from the scholars before. But Ibn Hajar's benefit, or one of his great points, was in a lot of sciences he was able to take it, sometimes summarize it, sometimes explain it, like Fathul Bari, for example. And Allah granted him acceptance in his books. So you've got Fathul Bari, you've got Bulugh al-Maram. When it comes to hadith, Ibn Hajar is a champion in hadith. So generally, you find a lot of people who've come later on, they relying on Ibn Hajar's classification of men. Whereas, if you had to look at the first generation of scholars or the second generation of scholars, amongst themselves, they may have differed severely when it came to certain men. They themselves said, no, this one is weak, and say, no, he's okay. And this one says, no, he's this. And generally what we've come at the end, because we never live in that time, we don't have the skills that they had generally. We've just said, okay, Ibn Hajar was a great scholar and we do taqleed of him. And that's why a lot of them say, especially when it comes to hadith, and that there's no harm in taking from what reputable scholar like Ibn Hajar and others have mentioned. But why I mention this is, sometimes a person you may be fighting on a hadith, or whether it's sahih, and you're saying this scholar said so, but it at times, not all the time, at times it boils down to fiqhi same like a fiqhi mas'ala way. Okay, you doing taqleed of somebody who may have lived 50 years ago or 500 years ago, but in the first generation, they themselves, they differed fiercely amongst themselves. And it takes having read a lot and having a big heart to understand that and realize that, hey, my opinion, I might be wrong here. Any questions with what we took? I hope you guys understood. And if you didn't understand, I hope this was at least an entry point for you guys, and slowly you'll start understanding more. No more questions before we take our last lesson for today. Wednesday, usually we take a general lesson. What did we speak about last week? We spoke about mindset.
What does taqleed mean?
Taqleed, the meaning of taqleed differs from who you ask, but generally it's to follow somebody. Okay, some people class it as blind following, some people class it as following without evidence, others class it as following without knowing the evidence. Then is taqleed permissible or it's not? For the laymen, even when it comes to fiqh, and that's my personal opinion and opinion shared by many people, look at your locality. At times you might find in your location, your locality, a following a madhab. There's no harm in following the madhab, especially for a layman. you cannot expect a layman to open the Quran and Hadith and know usul al-fiqh and nahu and everything and take out all his masail. It's impossible. He must do taqleed. Question then arises: who do you do taqleed of? Do you do taqleed of the four imams, or do you do taqleed of somebody else who came after, who may have differed with them, or he's saying this is my opinion? What generally tends to happen, and you must understand this, there's no scholar who came, especially the ones who closest to nubuwah, from the tabi'een, the immatul arba, etc. Inshallah, none of them ever intended to go against a piece of evidence, and none of them spoke without evidence. Where's the difference of opinion? Where you debating, is this guy's evidence, is it authentic? This guy might say, you know what I'm taking, I believe it to be authentic, whereas the other guy says, no, I don't believe this to be authentic, or I'm understanding it this way, and I've explained this to you guys a lot, and another person is understanding it a different way. Then you get to today's generation. What's the fight about? Or a lot of times people are fighting, they say, no, you're following men, the four imams, and how can you follow men? You must go to Quran and Hadith. Okay, let's understand. Is the Quran and Hadith, the ayat and the ahadith, which are even sahih, okay, we're not talking about that which is differed when it comes to its authenticity, we're talking about that which is agreed upon. Not all of it, as I told you, is qat'iyyud dalalah. Qat'iyyud dalalah means it's specifically showing you that the ruling here is only one way. At times it's open for interpretation. You may understand it one way and another person may understand another way. So for example, in the ayah thalathata quru', what's quru'? Are they speaking about the menses of a woman or when she's cleaned? What are they speaking about? Great scholars, they differ, and everyone has the difference of opinion. On that you build so many masail when it comes to divorce, and when it comes to iddah, and when it comes to etc, etc, etc. So it's not always black and white, and it's not always, no, we following the Quran and Hadith and you not. That's one point I'd like to raise. Second point I'd like to raise, in the same breath, when it comes to at times having to leave the madhab when it comes to a mas'ala. Now you find these communities mostly follow a madhab. Some communities are not, they don't necessarily follow a madhab from the four madhahib. They'll say we're taking by the Quran and Hadith. Okay, you're taking by the Quran and Hadith, but understand you're taking by the Quran and Hadith following a scholar you respected. He may be living now, he may have lived 50 years ago, and it might be Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. He had his own ijtihadat at times. He was a Hanbali at the very beginning, and then he had ijtihad outside the madhab. At times you find him with the Hanafi madhab, at times you find him with the Maliki madhab, at times with the Shafi'i madhab, at times with the Hanbali madhab. At times the A'immatul Arba'a, they have an opinion and he goes against it. He was free to have his opinion, but you cannot say you are following the Quran and Sunnah, but at the end of the day you haven't read like Ibn Taymiyyah and you're forcing everybody to follow your opinion. There's a big difference. Ibn Taymiyyah will have his opinion. He's free to have his opinion. He learnt. Whereas you are now coming to force me to say you must follow this opinion because it's the dalil. And it's not black and white dalil in most masail where you find, oh, this guy must have hadith and the hadith is in Bukhari. No, it doesn't work like that. Fiqh is much deeper than that. And how we got to that was when we were speaking about taqleed. So generally, a layman to follow a madhab, no problem. Even a student of knowledge not sure, follow the madhab, it's okay. At times you may need to leave the madhab in certain masail, and we see it today, especially when it comes to finance. Ask anybody who's been in these masail, speaking about banks, speaking about credit cards, speaking about new types of buyu, buying and selling. And that's why I started from Kitabul Zakah, because it's money matters. And after that, I want to go to Kitabul Buyu', because you'll then appreciate the different madhahib. At times you find everybody, the whole world following Hanafi madhab because it had that one opinion that was practical for today's time, and the whole world following one mas'ala in the Hanbali madhab, because it's just how it's become. As for in tahara and salah and siyam and hajj, generally you don't find so much difference of opinion because those are ibadat. So inshallah we'll stop there. There's I said last week we spoke about mindset. Today for those of you who weren't here, we said Wednesday we're speaking about self-improvement, development, etc. Inshallah, today I want to talk about keeping standards. So a lot of the times you find that we as Muslims, or we as human beings, there's a certain standard we know that we are capable of. So for example, you know that your capacity when it comes to doing a certain action, you know that I'm in this field, I'm able to get 100%, I'm able to get 95%, 90%. What tends to happen a lot of the times is you may start off like that, and then you become weaker, you let yourself go. And that's contrary to what we taught as Muslimin. As Muslimin, we taught to maintain a high standard in whatever you do. And that's why when it comes to your Islam and your Iman, firstly, your religion, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam in a hadith is mentioned that he says, Al-Imanu yakhlaq. Yakhlaq basically is like it wears away. So your Iman wears away in the same way your garment wears away. So if you carry on wearing your piece of clothing, carry on wearing it, it becomes old. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to renew your Iman. That's the message in the hadith. What can we derive from it? It means, or I'm not saying it means, I'm saying a benefit we can derive from it is Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that even when it comes to your religion, there's a standard you may be on, but as you mix in this world, as you see, you become occupied in that which may be your worldly affairs, etc., your Iman starts to wear away, i.e. your standard may start to drop. But what are you supposed to do? It says renew your Iman, i.e. revisit and go back and look at where you're lacking. Take yourself to account. That's why from the sayings of Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu. Take account of yourselves. And one of the benefits of taking account of yourself is you then able to say, okay, hold on. For example, I was reading all my salah on time. Now the salah, why am I reading Salatul Asr at the end of time, almost when it's qada? Before I was somebody who was always in the masjid for salah, or before I was always somebody who was in the first saf for salah, or before I was always somebody reading my sunan for salah. Why am I not doing that? And you find that if you carry on taking account, you carry on trying to maintain your good standards and improve even more, you become a better person. And it's normal in life for a person to become tired, a person to become sick, a person to have dips and rises in life, but you've got to be on top of it. You've got to be aware of it. That's why one of the ways in which you actually improve as a person is to start being honest with yourself. A lot of the times you find people, when the performance drops in anything, or when somebody says, oh, you know what, example at home, they say, oh, you don't speak nicely, or you don't do this. What's our initial reaction is to defend ourselves. No, it's not me, it's you. It's not me, it's you. If you have to be honest with yourself and dig deep and say, you know what they are saying, it's either true or there may be at least some element of truth to it. And then after that, you try to improve. And this happens with everybody, where you find that at times it may be your companionship that's causing you or causing your levels, your standards to drop. And that's why if Allah warns the best of creation, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by saying, وَلَوْلَا أَن ثَبَّتْنَاكَ لَقَدْ كِدْتَ تَرْكَنُ إِلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا قَلِيلًا. If it wasn't for us having kept you steadfast, you would have started inching, literally going slowly towards them, and then we would have punished you. I.e., it's a message for all of us after that. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was perfect. He was saved from this. Allah is also warning us to say that when you mix with the wrong people, you may start going astray, slowly but surely, ever so slightly. And before that, you don't realize that you've fallen a long way. Also, what's extremely beneficial when it comes to this is to have somebody who you trust. It could be a good friend. It could be somebody you're able to confide in. I'm not saying tell them all your secrets. What I'm saying is that ask them to keep you accountable. Say, for example, this month I want to achieve this, and this. This year I want to achieve so much. And let them also make you the accountability partner, for example, that's extremely, extremely beneficial. So, for example, this lesson, how many times it's very easy if there's only one person to say, okay, we're not having a lesson today. But then what happens to me, for example, I become lazy. So all you people, mashallah, being here, you keep me accountable in making me have to read, making me have to look up a mas'ala, making me have to go back to something, making me have to correct a mistake I made. That's one example. So if you have a group of people, you have one person, you're able to ask them to say, I want to achieve this, please help me. And they've got to be somebody thinking with you on the same wavelength. And the last piece of benefit I want to end off when it comes to this is one of the benefits of writing, and in today's language we say journaling. People journal in different ways. You may not journal, it's fine. It's what works for you. Generally, I've found that even if it's 3-4 minutes a day, write down in your day, what did you do? What was I supposed to do? What good things have I done that I can benefit from, or I can grow on? What things can I improve on? What bad things or what bad things did I do, and where can I improve on them? And what do I need to do for the next day and the next week and the next month? And if you look at a lot of successful people in whatever field they may be, it might be deen or dunya, you find they have meticulous planning. If you can ask them for, obviously they plan and Allah plans, but you can ask them for what you want to achieve in 1 week, they'll tell you, in 1 month, in 1 year, and 10 years, and 30 years. And they've got a purpose to life. What helps them maintain that purpose and that forward-moving vision is they know they want to achieve something and their time is limited. Whereas you find a lot of us who live, we know that, okay, my day is just the same. I'll wake up, I'll eat, I'll go to school, I'll come back home, I'll eat lunch, I might rest, and I'll go to sleep. And you find that we're on this wheel that we carry on going round and round, round and round, round and round. And before we know it, we've left the world. So we've got to be those people who are assets to society. We benefit, others benefit from us. People are happy to be around us, and most importantly, we earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Always remember your niyyah and your intention whenever carrying out any act of worship. So to sum up, have good standards, have high standards, and remember, don't look at the people who couldn't do it or who always said it's hard. Look at the people who are already doing it and strive to be from those who are successful, those who are on the top. And that's why when it comes to appreciation, when it comes to worldly material, the Messenger ﷺ says, "Unzuru ila man huwa asfala minkum." Look at those who are lower than you. Why? Because it will help you appreciate. But when it comes to deen and when it comes to things which are good, look at those who are higher than you. That's why Allah didn't just say, and we spoke about this before, He didn't just say that, come towards Allah. No, He's saying, wasari'u, hasten, go, be in the front, make an effort, and be with those who are doing good. Warka'u ma'a raki'in is an example. Make ruku with those who are making ruku. I perform salah. Why? There's a group who are performing salah already. Don't be from those who are left behind. We ask Allah to grant us goodness and beneficial knowledge and make us from those whom He is pleased with. Ameen. Inshallah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.